Welcome back to Spork University. We are going to be jumping into one of the final modules of the course. And as always, we like to say that the information shared in the course is based off of the general federal guidelines with some best practices sprinkled in. So if you do have questions about specifics for the states or territories you work in, please be sure to reach out to the state agency for specific information. So let's dive into Module 8. And what we're going to be focusing on here in Module 8 is how industry can help. How can you help in so many different areas and in so many different ways to help your customer, help get your products on menus, and help you understand kind of big picture meal program. So the information we're presenting might be a refresher or it might be new, but we are hoping that you're going to get some insight out of this module so that you can have a really creative lens into the world of school nutrition. So the objectives of this module are to help describe the pathway of how to get new foods onto school menus. And then we want to be sure to list additional ways that you all as industry folks can support your directors and your customers and their meal programs. So let's use lesson 1 as an opportunity to recap a lot of the major topics we've talked about over the last several hours in this course. So quick recap. Let's start by talking about school meal standards. All right, so we have the My Plate, which is a federal initiative to support healthy eating. We have the Dietary Guidelines for Americans, which are guidelines to help support nutrition standards of what is recommended for the general public to consume based off of their age or age group mostly. And what this does when it's all combined together is it really helps drive and support the meal pattern and nutrition standards used in school meal programs and ultimately the menus and reimbursable meals that your customers serve. So we've talked about this at great length throughout this course, but I just want to come back to this again because of the premise of the menu drives everything. We've talked about the different inputs that drive what can go on the menu, and we've also talked about how the menu is structured and how it can impact all of those different inputs as well. So all of the pieces have to be in place for menu development. The menu is one giant puzzle. We have all of these nutrition standards and rules and regulations and participation, and if the kids like the food, delivery, logistics, storage, all of those things have to be in place and need to be working well for a well-developed menu. We've also talked about how your customers, the directors, are juggling a lot. We may think that the menu is really the key part of their job. However, they're juggling staffing, training, budget, regulations, and also making sure that the students are getting the food that they need to nourish them during the school day. So why does all of this matter? Well, we've been talking a lot about understanding your customer, kind of having an empathetic level of knowledge for the things that they may be dealing with on a small or big picture scale. But it matters to you as industry partners because the products you sell or you represent go onto the menus or multiple menus if a school operates multiple federal programs. The menus, the foods on those menus impact the menu development with all those different inputs, which then impacts labor, equipment, training, and everything that's happening at the site level. So we typically like to think of the meal program, it's almost less about the food and more about the end goal. It's hard to think about foods in a silo, like a food in a silo in the meal program because there are so many different aspects that have to be considered to get that product onto the plate or the tray of the student. So what does it take for a product to get on the menu? Well, we've talked about a lot of the different inputs that impact the menu: participation, storage, staffing, training, recipe development, nutrient analysis. But the team at the site level actually needs to be have buy-in to the product as well. They need to understand how to prepare this product and how to serve it to the students. They need to understand, anything that goes into the actual recipe development of preparing that product and making sure that the product is tried and true and tested before it actually gets into the hands of the student. So we're going to wrap that up here. Let's go ahead and head into the next lesson, where we're going to be going back to one of the initial lessons we talked about. Think like your customer. So I'll see you soon.